This is why they won't be able to block Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, and RFK Jr., Michael Snyder reports. This week, Donald Trump shocked the Washington, D.C. establishment to the core. For decades, the unelected bureaucrats that control our mammoth federal agencies have been running our country into the ground. No matter who we've sent to Washington, the culture in these federal agencies has remained the same. But now Trump has nominated firebrands such as Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, and RFK Jr. for some of the most important positions in his cabinet. And this shows that he's quite serious about draining the swamp, quote unquote, during his second term. In essence, there will be a bunch of mini Trumps running around, firing hordes of useless bureaucrats and dismantling federal power structures that have existed for generations. Needless to say, many of the left are in a state of panic now that it appears that many of the institutions that they cherish so much could literally be turning completely upside down. For a lot of Democrats, the possibility that Matt Gaetz could be the next Attorney General is truly a nightmare scenario. When his nomination was announced, U.S. Senator Chris Murphy called him dangerously unqualified. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, warned Tuesday that President-elect Trump's selection of former Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican from Florida, to be U.S. Attorney General signaled Trump's intention to follow through on promises to persecute his opponents. Murphy called the firebrand Floridian dangerously unqualified to lead the Justice Department, noting that Gaetz urged the need to abolish the FBI and other law enforcement agencies that do not get in line with priorities. Many in the corporate media are freaking about Gaetz' nomination as well. For example, Geraldo Rivera says that he threw up in my mouth when he heard that Gaetz was the pick. When I heard that Matt Gaetz was picked to be Attorney General, I threw up in my mouth, Rivera told host Leyland Vitert. I think it's a horrible, creepy choice. I have no idea why he did it. The nomination of Tulsi Gabbard to be Director of National Intelligence has also caused a tremendous amount of outrage. Representative Abigail Spanberger, Democrat Virginia, declared in a post on X that she was appalled by the selection of Gabbard for the role. Not only is she ill-prepared and unqualified, but she traffics in conspiracy theories and cozies up to dictators like Bashar al-Assad and Vladimir Putin, Spanberger claimed in a post on X. Representative Jared Milkowski, Democrat Florida, called the choice of Gabbard as DNI incredibly reckless, declaring in a tweet, "Putting someone with known sympathies for foreign adversaries is not putting America's interests first, it's putting our security at risk." I find it quite comical that Democrats are now talking about putting America's interests first because they have not been doing so for years. At the Pentagon, the environment is like a morgue now that Pete Hegseth has been nominated to be the new boss of the Department of Defense. But the surprising top cabinet post appointment came as an absolute shock to Pentagon career employees who were not anticipating such a non-establishment pick to lead the nation's largest federal agency with an $800 billion budget. One defense official told Daily Mail that it was like a morgue inside the Pentagon after Trump's announcement. They said the career staff were apoplectic after hearing Hegseth, who has no government or management experience, would be taking over administration of the largest joint fighting forces in the world. In the past, Hegseth has talked about the need to fire all the woke generals, and he says, the writer says, I certainly think that would be a promising step in the right direction of our military. After all of the nominations that Trump has made this week, he topped things off by choosing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to run the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm thrilled to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to overwhelming health crisis in this country, Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. At this moment, the corporate media is begging for the Senate to block these nominations, but that is not going to happen. As U.S. Representative Thomas Massive has correctly pointed out, even if the Senate does not want to confirm these nominees, Trump can just push them through as recess appointments. In a video posted to X by Haley Talbot, a reporter with CNN, Massey was asked if he thought Gaetz would be confirmed by the United States Senate to serve as Attorney General. "Do you think he'll get confirmed by the Senate?" a reporter asked Massey, to which Massey could be heard responding, "Recess appointments." "He's the Attorney General," Massey added, "suck it up." Many people do not realize this, but the U.S. Constitution specifically gives whoever is president the power to make recess appointments. A recess appointment, however, allows presidents to install their nominee to the position while the Senate is in recess, without a confirmation hearing or vote, according to the Recess Appointments Clause in the U.S. Constitution. It says, "The President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session." So this means if a president manages to make a recess appointment, that individual's term would only last for about 2 years. At that point, the person could be appointed again through the same recess appointment or through the regular Senate confirmation process. The Supreme Court has ruled that recess appointments are only allowed if the U.S. Senate is not in session for at least 10 days. But of course, our senators are so lazy that they like to take lots of long breaks. And since Republicans now control the Senate, there probably won't be any dramatic moves to stop Trump from getting the recess appointments that he wants. Some experts are making it sound like Trump intends to do something out of the ordinary, but the truth is that other presidents made large numbers of recess appointments. According to the Congressional Research Service, former President Obama made 32 recess appointments while in office. Bill Clinton made 139, and George W. Bush made 171. When Senate Majority Leader John Thune was asked about the possibility of recess appointments a few days ago, he specifically mentioned recess appointments as one of the ways that Trump could get his nominees in place as soon as possible. "We must act quickly and decisively to get the president's cabinet and other nominees in place as soon as possible to start delivering on the mandate we've been sent to execute, and all options are on the table, including recess appointments," he said in a statement. Of course, the radical left is not just going to sit back and let Trump do whatever he wants. In fact, they're already planning massive protests for Trump's inauguration. Flyers are now appearing on complete campuses in D.C. These flyers have QR codes. When you scan the code, the link invites you to fight fascism by protesting Trump's inauguration on January 20th. So violent leftist groups have begun recruiting woke Qaeda. One of the group is Students for Justice in Palestine. If that does not sound familiar, that's the group that one of the primary factors of the violent protests on college campuses. It appears that there will be a great deal of turmoil in the streets of Washington, D.C. on January 20th, and that will just be a preview of the widespread turmoil that's coming all over America. After everything that they have said and done during the past 8 years, the radical left is not going to suddenly change course and decide that it's time for healing and unity. Our nation is more divided right now than it's ever been in my entire lifetime, and we should be deeply concerned about what's coming up. Michael Snyder reports on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. About the author, Michael Snyder's new book, Why, is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecy of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, end of the American dream and the most important news, and he always freely, happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.